very excited to be here today in our first Monday user conference here in New York. And I want to thank everybody that came and to be part of this. Before we begin, one of the values that we have in Monday is the value of transparency. We are a transparent company. We share all the metrics and all the numbers in the company with all of our employees. And we treat the same way our partners and our customers. So I would also like to share with you guys a little bit about our journey. So these are some of the numbers about Monday as a company. We had a very exciting milestone just 4 weeks ago where we passed 100 million of annual recurring revenue, now at 110 million. We are 350 employees, both in Tel Aviv and here in New York. Have over 93,000 paying companies using the platform, and raised $234 million so far. And on the right, you can see a graph of our growth. And it's been a pretty wild ride for us as a company. We launched the first version of our product in 2014 and scaled very rapidly since then. 2016, we had $6 million in revenues. And this year, we're going to end at 120 million. And our plan is to continue and doubling next year as well. And as you can see, the amount of paying customers that we have also grown rapidly. And this kind of ties to what I want to talk about today, which is fast-moving companies. And it doesn't matter if you grow in this speed, faster than that, slower than that. The fact is that companies are moving much faster than ever before. And if you're not moving fast enough, your competitors will be. In order to stay in the game, in order to be ahead of the game, you need to move fast. Let's look at a few examples. Let's look at the software industry. So in the past, and I'm sure some of you guys know about, seen it before, you would go to the mall, to a shop to buy software. So it's pretty funny. You get to a shop, you buy a box with a CD inside. I used to buy software like Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and the speed that the innovation happened was once every 6 months. Once a year, you will get a new version, you would go and buy a new version. And just in comparison, today, us as a company, we release 30 new versions of our product every day. And we're not unique about that. Every software company launches new version every day. So just comparing those two figures, it's 10,000 times faster than what it was. I want to give another example, how companies handle customer feedback. So in the past, if customers had an issue, something didn't work with the product, they will call the company, give feedback. Company had time to process that information, and make a decision, and then decide what to do. Today, with social media, customers are very vocal. They can say whatever they want. They can communicate with one another. And ironically, the company is usually the last to know what's going on. And I would even say that management is last to know what needs to be done. And from the time the feedback comes until the company processes it and decides what to do, a long time passes. And this led to a change about how information and decision-making is being made in companies. If in the past, information will go from the bottom to the top, and then management will make decisions, and then will pass the decision to everybody in the company. The model today is very different. In order to move fast enough, you need everybody in the company to make decisions, process information, and be independent on making decisions. And in order to do so, it's not enough just to make a decision that this is how we want to structure the company. You need to give people access to enough information. If you want people to be independent, if you want them to process the information and make decisions, they need to have enough information about what needs to be done. And this is an actual photo from our office showing a few dashboards that we present to everybody in the company. Funny fact is, in Tel Aviv and both here in New York, we have over 120 monitors showing our dashboards across the office. You see here dashboards from customer success, sales metrics, general metrics about the company, revenue numbers, monthly goals. Everything is presented to everybody in the company. because this is a critical part in order for people to be independent and make decisions. So basically, we as managers need to change how we think. Instead of telling people what to do, micromanaging them, we need to tell them where to go, and they need to figure out how to do it. Teams need a few things in order to do that. First of all, they need to have full ownership over what they can do. So that's giving them the ability to make decisions on their own and act. But more than that, we need to give them autonomy. So basically, they should be able to move forward and execute on what needs to be done, not to be dependent on other teams, not to wait for somebody else to do something, so to make them as independent as possible in order for them to move forward. But also, we need to empower them, because at the end of the day, if you want to give them ownership, you need to give them the ability to make mistakes and not judge them on mistake being done, and give them the ownership in order to process those mistakes and make future decisions. The problem is that teamwork has changed, companies today are different, but the tools the company use haven't changed. And I want to give you a few examples about that. First of all, tools expect you to adopt to them. So this is a nice photo of a cute cat. But the fact is that teams today need to adapt themselves to software and not the other way around. And I want to share a personal story. Before starting Monday, I was working in a big tech company. I was managing 8 people. And in the beginning, we were using pen and paper. We were using a whiteboard in order to manage our tasks. And then it wasn't enough. We need to start using a tool in order to list everything. So I searched online. I guess most of you have done it before, and looked for a tool that can do that. And I found something that makes sense at that time. And I went through the onboarding videos. I kind of realized what needs to be done, sat with my team, and we needed to adopt the way we work to the tool. We had a very specific structure of project and task. We were working in a different way. So we adopted, we onboarded the team, and it was successful. But then, as I've mentioned, companies are changing very fast. So only a few weeks later, we had a reorganization in my company, and I was assigned with 2 more teams I had to manage. So, in just a few weeks, I was moving from managing 8 people to managing almost 25. And then, basically, our team grew much bigger, and guess what? The tool that we've used wasn't good enough for us at that point. So we had to change to a different tool. Again, same process. Research online, I found a tool that's more complex, more robust, and we have to adapt again. And if I had to picture you guys what was my team reaction once I introduced a new tool to them, it was something like this. Not again, going through the same process, changing software, changing the way we communicate with other teams, adapting to a new interface, all over again. So the problem is that software today that's built for management is built in a very rigid way. People come up with an idea of how management should be done, and you need to take your team and adapt to the tool. Number 2, and this is a very interesting point, is that since we give people more autonomy, they have the ability to pick their own tools they want to use. So basically now, every department is using multiple tools to manage their day-to-day. So you can have people from marketing using tools for marketing. People from R&D use tools for R&D. People from sales using tools to manage their sales processes. And the problem is, it's great on one hand because people have the ability to choose their own software and be more efficient. But on the other hand, this creates information silos. You have a lot of information stored in different tools, and people don't have access to that information. Just think about all the valuable information, all the feedback that we got from customers. The tools that customer success team are using, the tools that sales team are using, have a lot of information inside. Feedback from customers, problems, opportunities that the company can do. But this information is hidden. It's hidden from the product team, R&D teams, or any other teams in the platform, in the company. And we call them information silos. Basically, a lot of valuable information stored in different tools and not accessible to to other people in the company. So that's problem number 2. The third problem is that tools are built to help you manage your work, but don't really help you manage your team. And I want to explain. The way that all those tools are built are on the concept of having a project manager, somebody that sees everything, and he kind of thinks about what needs to be done, all the stages that you need to get in order to get there, and everybody is assigned a small portion of that project. So if you, as a person working for the company, will get a glimpse into what needs to be done, and you don't know how what you're doing affects everybody else. Also, you don't have visibility into the whole project. You just see what you need to do. So the whole concept of having like a person, a mastermind, thinking about all the small parts of the project is obsolete. Today, everybody in the team needs to know where we need to go, what needs to be done, and how can I impact the end result. So these issues led us to build and to the concepts behind monday.com. And this is what I want to share with you today. First of all, we wanted the tool to be dynamic and flexible. Why? Because we understand that companies change all the time. They grow, they change their processes, and no company is the same as the other company. Also, we wanted the tool to be flexible. So instead of the team to adapt to the tool, we wanted the tool to empower the team. Second is we wanted bottom-up adoption. And this is very interesting. I think in the past, companies would make decisions from the top to the bottom. The CEO, CIO, CTO will make a decision. Everybody in the company needs to use this tool from now on. And guess what? People didn't want to do that. They didn't play along. They were frustrated because of this. And now the way people adopt tools are from the bottom up. People start using the tool, and then the tool grow organically within the company. And the third part is that we wanted the tool to encourage transparency and recognition. We feel that information plays a critical part in the success of a company, and we wanted Monday to emphasize that. So let's go and talk about each one of these. So dynamic and flexible. And this is a kind of interesting story. When Eran and I started a company, we knew that we wanted the tool to be dynamic, but we didn't have a clear visual of how it's going to look like. So we actually met with a lot of managers in the beginning of the company, going through this product market fit phase. And whoever we talked to, everybody was using different tools. And when we kind of investigated more and tried to find out how they really manage their teams, everybody had a secret grid they were using. Some was using a Google spreadsheet, Microsoft Excel, to communicate with their colleagues, their managers, and their team. Some was using whiteboards in order to communicate. Some people were using a table inside a PowerPoint presentation. Everybody was using some form of a grid in order to communicate. And it makes a lot of sense because grids are a very easy way for people to communicate. It's easy to lay out information, and it's easy to structure and change them along the way. So this served as an inspiration for us for creating our Monday boards. So we wanted to create a grid that's easy to change, flexible, so you can add columns, you can add rows, you can do whatever you want, basically. And it's a great way for people to communicate. It's a great way of visual communication. So you can either list projects, you can list tasks, you can list processes, or you can list information, like we see here, where you can just list information and keep track of whatever information you need. So grids are a great way of communication. The second part is that we wanted a tool that people actually love to use. And that's not intuitive, because as I said, in the past, companies will make a decision and everybody had to comply. But again, the world has changed. People have more autonomy. Team leaders across the organization have a corporate credit card. They can make decisions. IT gives them a lot of freedom today as opposed to the past. So having this in mind, we wanted a tool that people actually love to use. A tool that's visually attractive, that you don't feel frustrated using it. And then, when you walk around the office, you will recommend other people to use it as well. And the way we see companies adopt Monday today is that team leaders or teams adopt a tool, and then spread the tool organically within the company until we reach a huge mass within the company. And number 3 is that we wanted a tool that enables transparency and recognition. So this is an example of a board, and by default, you see everybody on the board, what everybody else has been doing, and defaults are very strong. We have a lot of defaults that encourage transparency within the platform. Number 1 is that whenever you create a board, it's public to everybody else in the company by default. By default, everybody has permission to see what everybody else is doing. By default, everybody can change the structure of the board. If you want to limit that, you can do that. But defaults are very strong. And we get a lot of feedback from customers saying, I started using Monday, and something in my team changed. I'm not sure exactly what. And we relate a lot of that to the fact that other people in the company see what other people are doing. It's an easier way for people to communicate. It's an easier way to see what your colleagues and to get recognition over what you've done. And this is something that we shouldn't take for granted. I think one interesting way that we look at it is that Monday empowers teams to build their own tools. Basically, what we do is that we provide very flexible, very dynamic building blocks to give companies the ability to move faster and build their own tools on top of Monday. So if you want to look at it, it's kind of like giving people Lego bricks to build their own tools the way they want it. And I want to walk through quickly over the building blocks that we offer the company. So as you guys know, it all starts with the board. This is the core of the product. And it looks something like this. You can structure it however you want. You can choose which columns you want to put and how you want to lay it out. So this is the base of the product. We offer over 40 column types. The idea was that we want people to store any type of information inside a board. It can be files, it can be a voting system, it can be time tracking, it can be a timeline, it can be a geographic location, it can be a rating system, whatever you want, whatever data type you want, you can store it inside a board. So it's very flexible. Over here, you can see our column store and just a little bit of the columns that we offer. So we have a whole store, and the idea behind it is that we can always extend it and add more columns as we find more and more use cases. On top of that, we have views. So views allow you to consume data from the board in different ways. So just imagine you have a lot of data on the board, and you want to see it in different ways. You want to see the data on a calendar. You want to see the data on a timeline. You want to see geographic location on a map instead of just as a text on the board. So this is just a few examples of the views that we offer where you can see the same information from the board in a different way. Again, whatever way that suits you. This is an example of a graph, a timeline, and using a Kanban in order to manage work. The next part is automations. This is something that we launched beginning of 2019, and it made a huge impact on how people use the product and what they can do with it. So basically, automations allow you to accelerate teamwork by automating processes, taking stuff that you used to do manually and automate them, making it less error-prone and making people more efficient in how they do stuff. And just as an example, you can set up a new automation, you have a manual process that does something, and I think one of the parts that was very important for us is to make it as simple as possible while making it very powerful. So it's basically plain English, but it makes you a superhuman because you can automate a lot of the processes you used to do manually in the past. The last part are integrations. Integrations allow you to connect different applications that you use to Monday. So basically, you can sync data from other apps to Monday, or you can sync data from Monday into other apps. Remember those silos that I've mentioned before? Integrations break those silos. I want to give you a few examples from ourselves. We set up integrations with Zendesk. Zendesk is a tool that we use in order to handle customer feedback and customer support tickets. And we had a product team that this information wasn't available to them. They wanted to get feedback about our dashboards, about our automations, and they had to rely on people from customer success to provide them that feedback. So they set up a new integration where they sync data from Zendesk. Whenever a customer submits a ticket about a specific topic, they get notified. So this is a great example of how you can break information silos between different apps and free in that data. So integrations allow you to connect whatever app you want to Monday, sync in whatever data you want, and to sync data from Monday into different applications. And the last part is our interactive dashboards. Dashboards allow people to drive insight from across their account. So people have a lot of data across multiple boards, and then you want to have an overview, see a metric across different boards, see graphs across different data points. So dashboards allow managers or anybody in the company to drive insights from different boards and then have an overview of that data. And if we sum it up and look at all the different components, all those Lego bricks, they basically allow you to build whatever you want, whatever makes sense for you as a company, whatever would make a difference to your company. We have columns, we have views, boards, dashboards, integrations, automations, and we plan to add more of these going forward. Essentially, you guys build incredible stuff on Monday. When we started this journey, I didn't have an idea of how people will leverage Monday, what they'll build with it. People build unbelievable stuff on top of our platform. Today, in our conference, we're going to hear 3 amazing user stories from 3 different companies. One is a company called Oldcat. It's one of the largest heavy equipment machine dealership, over 1,500 employees. Second one is a company called Bravado. They're one of the largest music, merchandise, and fashion companies, 9,000 employees. And the third one is Carnival, destination cruise line company, 17,000 employees. I'm not an expert in managing heavy equipment, as you can tell, or managing cruise lines or music merchandise. But the fact that they managed to build on top of us a system that makes sense to them, and they prefer to use Monday over any software that they might have for their specific vertical or for their specific industry is mind-blowing. And I think it's a lot to do with the trust they have that as the company grows, as it changes, as their processes change, they know they can take Monday as a platform, change it, and adapt in order to provide them whatever they need in order to succeed. So I'm very excited to hear the stories today. Thank you very much.